Hey there! Long time no see. I know a lot of you are probably like, why does your background look so different? Heck, why do I even look different? I wear glasses now. In case you forgot who I was by any chance, it's me, Dempsey. You might notice that I've been away from YouTube for quite a while. Most of you guys know the reason why. It's not anything crazy. Just pretty much lost my house, apartment rather, in a flood. Left me displaced, and I spent the last couple of months with my family trying to pick up the pieces. But the good news is that I'm okay. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video, because I wanted to come back and I wanted to do what I've loved and I've missed doing for so many months now, and that is talking to you guys about movies. And I was going to do this a couple weeks ago, but then I kept getting pushed back, and I've been very busy with work. But I had to come back this week because I couldn't think of a better and more ironic movie to talk about than the disastrous, maybe I should take that back, the beautifully disastrous, or the arguably beautifully disastrous, we'll just have to wait and find out. Now before I start, I just wanted to say a couple of things, mostly apologies in advance. For one, how rough this video is probably going to look and feel. I am readjusting, of course. I went from making videos almost every week for like 3.5 years to just stopping. So I want to get in the groove, and there's a bunch of other things that I wanted to do before that I never really got a chance to do. I'm going to be kind of implementing over the next couple of videos, and the background's also going to be changing because I'm not quite content with it. It does look a little bit crazy, but bear with me. That's all I'm going to say for now. Without further ado, let's talk about today's film. Moonfall was directed by Roland Emmerich and features an ensemble cast led by Halle and Patrick Wilson, and asks the question, what if the moon wasn't a natural satellite for the Earth, but rather a hollow megastructure put here by aliens that's eventually going to kill us all? Now, if you've seen one Roland Emmerich film, you've probably seen them all. Yes, he has dabbled in the occasional historical drama here or there, but for the most part, his filmography pretty much consists of disaster films. And while not all of them are great, I would argue that at the very least, they're each consistently entertaining. Even though there are only so many ways the world can actually end, and it did seem for a while that the well was starting to finally run dry for this guy. I mean, his last disaster film was literally a remake of his most successful one in an attempt to rehash and recreate that success. Nope, he's back. And he's back with what's both something that I would say is original, yet just a carbon copy of everything he's done before. It's original-ish. Now, I cannot emphasize this enough. Roland Emmerich definitely copied characters, situations, heck, even CGI shots from some of his previous films. The only thing that truly feels different, the only thing that is truly different, rather, is the fact that the moon is the catalyst for everything that happens. Despite it being so literally cut and paste, though, I also cannot lie. I was thoroughly entertained for the most part. Although cliched, I did really like Halle and Patrick Wilson's characters. As we learned from the opening sequence, they used to be old astronaut friends. However, after something happens, they kind of go their separate ways and they stop talking to each other. I won't go into too much detail because it is pretty important for everything else that happens in the film. But even though they're not the most original characters and they don't have the most original conflict between themselves, they do a really good job at selling the film. I guess what I'm really trying to say is that even though everything is pretty much fake, they do a really good job at making you kind of feel the stakes, if that makes sense. Now, I don't know if many of you guys know this, but I remember when the film was first in production that a casting grid leaked online, and it was revealed that Mark Wahlberg was either attached or being sought after for the role that Patrick Wilson plays here. And watching the film with that information, and even now as I sit here reviewing it with that information, I just keep on thinking that I don't think the film would have been as good as I think it is, with Mark Wahlberg in it. And I know there are a lot of people that are super critical of it, and a lot of people who didn't really like it. And yeah, even though I have my own problems with it, let that sink in. It might have been even worse. John Bradley, or Sam, who most of you guys might know him as from Game of Thrones, also stars here, and he's the annoying crackpot researcher type character who knew that this was happening all along. And while he is occasionally funny and it's refreshing to see him do something so different from what he was doing before and what he's most known for, he's also a bit cringe at times. I mean, there are only so many different ways and times you can really rub your intelligence in everybody else's face before it gets tiring. However, I will say that by the end of the film, he does kind of grow on you. You will say to yourself, you know what? I think that guy's okay in my book. But that's all I'm going to say on that. Okay, another actor whose performance I really enjoyed was Ikwuakor, and he plays Halle Berry's character's estranged husband who is in the military. And one of the real reasons that I enjoyed his performance is that he is easily the most serious and most realistic person in the entire film. Right when the moon is coming towards Earth and he finds out that it's coming towards Earth, he's like, we all need to go to a bunker, okay? And throughout the film, he's constantly left with this moral dilemma when he finds out that the military has other plans for the moon, and he finds out that his ex-wife is in space trying to handle it another way. That's all I want to say. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think he's really good, and I think he's just this hard-boiled egg that kind of cracks for the better. And I will talk a little bit more about Ikwuakor at the end of the video. Most of you guys probably know why, but yeah, just wait until after my rating. In regards to the direction, there's nothing groundbreaking Emmerich really does here. In fact, the green screen stuck out like a sore thumb. I swear, there's this one sequence where Patrick Wilson is just standing outside, and it is 1000% green screen, like, without a doubt. And I'm just like, really? They couldn't film a regular scene outdoors? As silly as it is and as it looks, that doesn't change the fact that I still enjoyed all of the event scenes. Surprisingly, of all of Roland Emmerich's disaster films, though, this one seemed to have the least amount of event scenes. And when I say event scenes, I of course mean like sequences comparable to when the White House blows up in Independence Day, or when that giant body of water comes hurling towards the New York Public Library in The Day After Tomorrow. There isn't really a memorable moment in this. And there aren't even that many moments where they really play with the film's concept of the moon coming towards Earth. Sure, we do get a couple of scenes where we see the tides come in and water, and there are a couple of moments where they have fun with the gravity, but it's like they really could have done so much more with it, and they chose not to. You know what there isn't a shortage of, though? And I think I already alluded to this earlier. Self-plagiarism. I really wasn't lying earlier when I said Roland Emmerich literally copied some stuff from his other films and pasted it into this one. And there was one thing in particular that honestly bothered me so much because it feels so lazy that he did it that I just have to talk about it. And that is the fact that there is a character in this film, and I will refer to him as the sleazy stepfather type, played by Michael Peña. He is exactly how he sounds. He is a character that kind of swoops in and marries Patrick Wilson's character's wife, and becomes a father figure for his kids after Patrick Wilson kind of becomes this disgraced astronaut. And you don't really like him at first, and he like I said, he's really sleazy, but then you kind of warm up to him. He's another character you warm up to, and then he eventually helps save the day at some point. But then, super minor spoiler alert here, something happens to him. The same character was introduced in 2012. It was just played by actor-director Tom McCarthy. And it's obviously different circumstances because 2012 is about, you know, the Mayan calendar and the prophecy that the world's gonna end, which obviously didn't. But you get like the same kind of situation where I think it's John Cusack is the protagonist in that film. And you have this sleazy character that swoops in, marries his wife, and takes care of his kids. And then you don't really like him at first, but then he eventually helps save the day. And then, you know, you warm up to him. And then at the end, something happens to him. It's literally beat for beat. He copies and pastes it again. And it was, once again, just so lazy that it just blows my mind that he actually did it. And one, that he did it. And two, that he got away with it. And that, like, nobody else noticed this during production. It was like, hey, yeah, I think you've done this before. Now, I know it feels really silly to point this out at this point. Once again, this is the same guy who has pretty much made a career out of making the same kind of films over and over again. I just didn't want to believe that he would literally rip off his own character again. Once again, it's so lazy. And I mean, he's not really doing anything wrong or illegal, right? These are his stories, these are his characters, but it is just, in my opinion, the epitome of unoriginality. Another thing that I didn't really like about this film was just how often the word megastructure is used and subsequently explained. I'm not lying when I say that the word is probably dropped like 15 to 20 times in this, and mostly by the same character. And it's not annoying necessarily as it is insulting, because it really feels like Roland Emmerich thinks that little of the audience that he just constantly needs to keep on bringing the concept back on the off chance that you forgot what it was, even though a character just said it like 2 seconds ago. Like in the very beginning, you have characters saying, the moon's not a megastructure, there's no way. And then you have other characters saying, no, this defies everything we know about it, it has to be a megastructure. And then eventually, you know, they come to the realization, I knew it, the moon was a megastructure. It's really dumb. And if anything, it said so much that I think the film would probably be better off being called Megastructure than Moonfall, truthfully. Nevertheless, I still somehow managed to enjoy this film. Now, it may not be the best disaster film ever made, or even the best disaster film that Roland Emmerich's ever made. Lord knows it's certainly not the most original either. But at its hollow core, it's just pure dumb fun. And with everything going on in the world right now, I think we can all use a little bit of that in our lives. And for that, I'm going to give this film 2.5 stars.
Free bagels.
Now, as I kind of hinted at earlier, in addition to being able to see the film, I was also extremely fortunate enough to speak with one of the film's actors, Ikwuakor, and I thought we had a really fun conversation. Definitely a lot more laughter than I expected throughout. And he also teased a film that I had no idea he was involved in at the very end that I'm very excited to check out later this year, hopefully, if it comes out. But if you want to check out the full conversation, I'll be uploading it onto the YouTube channel as well, and I'll leave a link down below in the description box. Hopefully you guys enjoy watching it just as much as I enjoyed conducting it. So yeah, be sure to check it out. Now, if you happen to see Moonfall, if you loved it, if you hated it, let me know what you thought about it down below in the comment section. I look forward to reading and responding to all of your comments, as always. More than anything, I really just want to say thank you right now. Not only to all of you guys who have faithfully stood by as active subscribers to this inactive channel over the past few months, but to all of you guys who have actively supported me and reached out and helped me and my family in our time of need. I cannot put to words how grateful I truly am for that. And more than anything, I want to say thanks in advance for all of your patience in the coming weeks as I kind of readjust and return to the platform. I am super excited to be back to YouTube. I love this as a creative outlet and have a lot of things that I'm excited to share and new things I'm excited to try that I cannot wait for you guys to see. And so, yeah, it feels good. And yeah, I know this is usually the time of the part of the video where I'm like, yo, be on the lookout for more new content weekly. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. While it's still true, I'm just excited to be back, and I'm thankful to be back, and I guess we'll just have to see what happens next. Until next time, I'm Dempsey Polai. Take care.